A packed show as always, and
Busy
as you mentioned, Jennifer, Paisley is under starters orders tonight because it's the Grand Depart.
The Grand Depart.
Thank you.
There we go, a bit
of
French.
the Monte Carlo rally, and Colin Stone is there for us now. Colin, what's the atmosphere like?
Well, David, the snow is coming down, but the crowds are still here, and as you can see, the podium to my left, people are going off. Let's see one of the cars go off now.
Okay, and you're off. Go on.
Now the cars have been going off for the last few minutes now. Now let's see if we can have a look down. This one
Looks like there's a James Rigney and Steve Cagle.
going off at 1 minute intervals. Let's see if we can take a walk down and speak to some of the crowds here. Now, as you can see, it's fairly busy here. The snow is still coming down. It was a few minutes ago. I had my hood up, but now it's not so bad. Let's go see if we can speak to one of these car owners here. Now, who do we have here? Let's have a chat with these guys. Hello, you're live on STV Glasgow. How are you feeling for the trip ahead?
Nervous.
Nervous. Where are you from?
Glasgow.
Whereabouts?
Coming up.
Oh, fantastic. Tell us about the car.
It's an Austin 1800, it's a Mark 1, and it came from Australia.
And what's made you take up this trip?
Oh, we did it last year, and we did it in a Volvo, but that gave up the ghost on us. So we're doing it in a more reliable car this year.
Fantastic. Best of luck. Enjoy it.
Cheers.
There we go. Some local lads doing the trip to Monte Carlo. Let's see who else we've got here. Ronald White and Karsten Brown. Let's see if we can have a chat with them as well. Hello, chaps. Oh, hello. You're live on STV Glasgow. How are you feeling for the trip ahead?
Nervous. We nearly never made it into the Parc Fermé tonight. The distributor went on it. It was a mad panic to get it going, so our fingers are crossed that we even get across the border, let alone to France.
Are you concerned about the weather at all?
That's the least of our worries right now, to be honest. Getting out of here and getting to France is the thing we want to do.
Tell us about the car.
The car's a very rare 1964 Rover 2000. There's only one left on the road of that year, so we've got to look after the baby.
Any tips for making this long trip? It's 2,000 miles, isn't it?
It is awesome, really. Just a bit overwhelmed by the whole thing, really.
Best of luck to you. Yes, that's here live in Paisley, the Monte Carlo rally. As you can see, the car is going off behind me and it's going to go on for the next half an hour. But earlier on, we had a close look at the cars you can see behind me.
What we're actually doing here today, the drivers come into GTG and they actually do the final preparations so the cars are actually ready to head off at the appropriate time this afternoon.
We've had this event in Glasgow for 5 years now. It gives us a chance to look at some very, very interesting cars that we don't normally see in Scotland. Basically, the main thing that we're looking for is safety. In motorsport, safety is of paramount importance. This car is a Rover 2000, built in 1964. A car similar to this won the Monte Carlo 50 years ago.
We've been doing this since 1973. We've been checking competition licences and getting the competitors to sign on.
Oh, here, yes, it's all in French.
And so we hope we're...
We're looking at the conductor and the co-equipier, and that's the driver and the co-driver.
So we think we're doing
just
the
checking.
correct thing. We think we are. No one has come back yet.
Last year, the Paisley people turned out in their thousands. And the minute a Hillman imp went onto the ramp to leave it, the crowd erupted because the Hillman imp was built in Linwood. So the crowd loved it. But, I mean, everybody comes to see it. You know, everybody, it's a good day out.
What makes it so special for me today is the fact that the car I'm standing beside was actually owned one of these. It was actually my first car. So it's very dear to my heart, and obviously you can see I've got a passion for cars of that era. I think it's a spectacular event. It's the Monte Carlo Rally, and I think that will be witnessed very much so by the spectators along the way.
Well, my name's David Glenn. This is my second time in the Monte Carlo Historic. First time in my 1976 Dolomite Sprint. It's what they call a regularity rally, so it's not a race as such, it's not who's fastest. It's about doing a targeted speed over a certain distance, so they might say they want you to do this next section at 47.5 kilometres an hour on average, and if you hit that average you'll get 0 points, and it's a person with the lowest points that wins. So we've got about 13 of these stages to do over the next week or so, so yeah, it's a great challenge. Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, Glasgow has had that historic connection with the Monte for years, and it's fantastic that it's been revived. And there's no doubt about it, it's great leaving in front of your home crowd. I mean, last year there was about 10,000 people turned up to see us off, and you know, hopefully if the weather's not too bad tonight, we'll get the same again, so it'll be great fun.
Hello Scotland, I'm James Rigney and I'm from Melbourne. This is my car. It's a 1979 Porsche 924 Turbo. I'm very excited to be doing this race with my co-driver Steve here. Steve and I grew up across the road from each other in Melbourne, and we've spoken about doing an event like this for the last 10 years. So we're really excited to be here. This is our first event together. It's wonderful to start in Glasgow. Obviously, it's always wanted to come to Glasgow. Love Scotland, and it's about getting to Monte Carlo. As our first race, our objective is to finish, but to have fun.
Welcome back to the Riverside Show. Now, if you were watching earlier, you'll know that as we speak, hundreds of classic cars are setting off for the glamorous surrounds of Monte Carlo from the only marginally less glamorous and a little bit colder surrounds.
Potentially a bit colder with the snow. I'm a bit jealous though, I quite fancy Monte Carlo.
Not be bad, but Paisley's where it's at tonight.
Paisley is the place to be, and our glamorous reporter Colin Stone.
Yeah, that's what you think of when you hear glamour.
Yeah, is at the start line and has been watching the cars roll out. Colin, is all going smoothly?
Jennifer, yes, all is going smoothly. The cars are still rolling out behind me. You can probably see them. Some absolute classics as well. I've been loving every second. The crowds are still saying, despite the snow, you can probably see it landing in my eye, but we have been assured the cars are safe to make the trip. The snow isn't so bad south of the border. But joining me now is a guest driver from the Monte Carlo Rally, Caroline Carslaw. Now, you were the second car over the ramp. How did it feel going down that big massive podium? We're just seeing a car behind us.
It was fantastic. It was a great experience. I've kind of known about the Monte Carlo Historic for years, and the fact that it's so close to home and starting now is great feeling.
Now, you were described on the podium as the fastest Scottish woman rally driver in Scotland. Is that correct?
It was correct for 2013, yeah. I did the Scottish Rally Championship in that year, and I won my class for the full championship, and also was first lady driver, so that's great. Last year we had a bit of a kind of gap year because I'm at university, so I was actually away out the country on exchange. So we're starting things back up again this year.
How did you get into rally driving in the first place?
Well, my dad used to compete. He did the Scottish Rally Championship, and as did my uncle. So I just grew up with it, and then at the end of 2012 he just asked me, do you want a shot? And I thought, well, yeah, why not?
Now, you were the guest driver this year, but do you ever fancy making the trip to Monte Carlo another year?
Oh, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. But who knows? We'll see. I've got a nice wee Fiesta just now that's modern, so it's not really historic. So not just now.
There's another car going off in the background. What's the atmosphere been like? What have the crowds been like here?
They've been great. It's so receptive as well. I think because this event has been so local for people, it's encouraged people to come out and to have a look, and they might not necessarily have done that, you know, if it wasn't so local. So, but the crowds have been fantastic. Great to speak to. People have been asking about cars and stuff. So it's great for motorsport in general.
And what are some of the favourite cars you've seen go off behind us?
Oh, there was a lovely Porsche 944. That's lovely. That's a very nice car. I've got my eye on that one.
And your car was a
Ford Fiesta ST rally car.
But it wasn't just a normal family car?
No, it looks like a normal ST from the outside, minus the decals, but inside it's got up-rated suspension and brakes, also full roll cage, fire extinguishers, the works. Keep it safe.
That's Caroline Carslaw, who's a guest driver here. But yes, earlier today I went to find out more about this historic rally.
Glasgow's Blythswood Square might seem like a strange place,
to try and hitch a lift to Monte Carlo. But for 30 odd years, this was the starting point for Britain's leg of the Monte Carlo Rally. Well, we've come out and out the blast for a pit stop in the comfort of the Blytheswood Hotel's Monte Carlo bar, the rally bar. It's quiet today, but 30 odd years ago, this place would have been filled with rally teams poring over their maps, planning their routes, and all deciding what the best way was to get to the Channel coast to catch the ferry to France, to continue their race to the south of France. The race, probably the most famous rally event in the world, was actually launched in 1911 by Prince Albert of Monaco. And it wasn't anything to do about racing, it was all to do with money. It's quite quiet in the south of France in January, and Prince Albert had casinos to fill. So, when cars were a wealthy man's toy, what better way to attract the gambling crowd than to start a race from 7 points across Europe and get all the wealthy gamblers to gather at his casinos. When Blytheswood Square was laid out in the 1820s, there were no cars on the road in Glasgow. In fact, there were no cars anywhere. But by the time the RAC Club had opened and bought all the houses on the east side of Blytheswood Square in 1910 and remodelled the building into this fantastic club by 1926, cars were all the rage, and rallies, well, that was the cool thing to do. The race first came to Blytheswood Square in 1952 or 1955. No one's quite sure about that one. And the starting point in Scotland was one of 8 across Europe, all roughly 2,000 miles from the finish line in Monte Carlo. Disaster was what befell quite a few teams. Driving from Scotland to the south of England in January in the days pre-motorway, well, a lot of the cars got caught in snow, many of them didn't make the border, some of them conked out long before they even got out of Glasgow. Tonight, for the second year in a row, the rally will start from Paisley, and not just from Paisley. Tonight across Europe, in Barcelona in Spain, Copenhagen in Denmark, Turin in Italy, in Reims in the Champagne region of France, drivers and navigators will be genning up and getting behind the wheel, ready to set off on a 2,000-mile cross-country epic back to those casinos in the beaches of the south of France.
I'm not a massive car enthusiast, and even I was amazed by some of those cars.